Sonic X Episode 18. We start out seeing Tails flying his plane over African wildlife. And then the plane's radar detects the egg carrier instead of crashing from detecting an emerald, since it actually didn't detect an emerald. That would have made this episode more significant. Eggman sends missiles for them to dodge. This is so much better than the Sonic Boom comic and the X comic that's not even funny. But still, it's got its problems, as Sonic powers up with one ring and destroys the egg carrier with a bunch of spin dashes immediately. So much for tension! Although the explosion does crash Tails' plane, but we all know he'll be totally uninjured after that anyways. And even Chris will be fine. Is it just me, or does Chris sound like Ash Ketchum with his voice? It's annoying, and Tails is making repairs on the plane looking adorable with his goggles. He's probably the most adorable he's ever looked in the show. Tails says that this place like Africa reminds him of home. And he says he wants to start an engineering company and build lots of machines. Chris isn't sure what to do, and says he's more interested in animals than machines, thanks to Sonic, even if his family is pressuring him to be into engineering. We already have Chuck. Eggman coughs and gets threatened by alligators since the egg carrier landed in the swamp, and a giant robot is sent out of the airship, which goes ape and scares the robot's sidekicks inside it. Huh? Why would it be programmed to do that? Is it a mecha or not? How does it have the free will to do something the people piloting it don't want it to do? Sonic loves it in this place because there's plenty of room to run around. It's kinda sweet to see him and Tails so naive. But seriously, how is Sonic not instantly leaving a cheetah in the dust when he's challenging it to a race and saying it's fast? It's not fast to him, how could it be? And how does the cheetah not instantly kill him if he's running right beside it? Isn't it a predator? Wouldn't it want to try to eat Sonic instead of being friendly? Especially after Sonic scares it by picking it up and running with it. That's ridiculous. Then Chris and Tails learn that people are making a dam in a place that doesn't seem to have any water in it, to hold back the water from a river or lake. And Tails says he doesn't see any water around here. Oh, they actually lampshade it. Then it turns out a bunch of wildlife are just standing there, watching the shady businessmen, rather than the wildlife all trying to eat them since they're predators, or walking away. I don't buy that. Wow, that's out of character. Oh, then there's a flashback where we actually see Tails getting held back and bullied while an animal guy smashes his invention. And that's all we'll ever get to see of Tails being bullied in official continuity. But it at least gets the point across. That was a lot of effort, wasn't it? But still, it immediately gets distracted from a story that could have a lot more development by showing us Tails painting and improving Sonic's plane without his permission. How is Tails not scared and flying away the minute Sonic spots him? How would he ever know that he's not a bully? It's not like he knows who Sonic is and thus would know he's a hero, because he's not saying that. And somehow I'm expected to believe that people only bully him because he likes building things. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not because he has two tails? Worst writing ever! At least it explains why he snapped at these animals, because they remind him of his bullies. Or something. But then he calls the businessmen bullies instead. How did Tails take until now to notice the loud construction crane going towards him and run away? The businessmen threaten them, and the wildlife go up to them, and yet somehow aren't trying to eat them right away or running in fear. Tails makes a whole crowd protest against people who want to build a dam, and impressively, they're still angry even after they're told that the dam is meant to generate electricity for their homes. Even though that's a good thing. This is Africa, isn't it? Since it sure as hell doesn't look like America. Wouldn't they be better off getting more electricity? Unless it's not, and there's just a nature reserve for African animals in America. That would explain how the people look. Well, that was a prime missed opportunity for world building. Then the mecha spots Sonic, and Sonic doesn't instantly run past the mecha. He challenges it in front of the businessmen and lures it away from them. It's brave of one of them to still want to build the dam after all this. Predictably, Sonic hasn't lost the robot, and he never should have assumed that. At least the robot got a hit on Sonic in the anime for once. Twice even. That is a nice change of pace from him beating robots in one hit 6 million times. The robot has invisibility powers, which is cool. Eggman gets humorously frustrated at being called another crazy weirdo. These guys really should already know who Eggman is. He scares them away by using lasers on trees, and the robot constantly attacks Sonic in front of Eggman. I almost feel sorry for him. I have to remind myself that this is the anime Sonic, and not the smug, selfish jerk from the Sonic X comic who helped Eggman get back in power. Sonic runs away from the robot, and Tails talks in front of a bunch of animals who still aren't trying to eat him or running away, apparently. This is so condescending. It doesn't matter that he's not a human. They eat anything, don't they? Chris tells Sonic what he did, finally clarifying that this is, in fact, a nature preserve. I've never been to a place like that. It's so weird. This landscape really doesn't look like it's in America. Since when does America have huge African prairies? But I guess it does. Eggman panics and shoots missiles to get rid of everything metal, because his robot doesn't turn invisible around metal for some reason. Wow, he's both comedic and really threatening. And the businessmen seeing him like this are a relatable audience surrogate. Imagine if you were in this situation. Sadly, all of the threateningness is gone the minute Sonic powers up with the ring, because we immediately know that he'll just beat the robot in 1 second anyways. So why didn't he just do that in the first place? Moron. I could understand if it was explained that X-rings need time to power up, so we can't use them right away, and so they were powering up for most of the episode, but that'd be good writing. Eggman runs away in fear because of his broken Eggmobile, as I notice how confusingly big Bo-kun is compared to Sonic. I always assumed that he would be, like, even shorter than Cream, because of how he is. Then Eggman threatens Sonic, but he's sounding amusingly scared. He tells Bo-kun to pathetically tap dance in front of him, as I wonder why Bo-kun is almost as tall as Sonic, instead of half his size. To be fair, he's a robot, he can be made larger with upgrades, but he's supposed to be cute. I felt bad for him when he said he was embarrassed. It's intriguing to have a villain that's a crybaby. It's just stupid how awful his voice is in the show. Alright, well this was an episode where some shady businessmen try to make money off building a dam that'll flood the animals' homes in nature preserve. But since it's apparently not in Africa and instead in a nature preserve, I was confused at first about how this plot even started, because wouldn't it be illegal to build dams to flood nature preserves, let alone build anything on them at all? Well, apparently it is legal. But they would have to move the animals, and the businessmen never just tell Tails that they're going to do that. Not that Tails would be happy with it anyways, because it's still flooding their homes. It's just so confusing that anyone would think to build a dam on a nature preserve. Such ridiculous cartoon villains. Not to mention I kept getting confused by the animals not trying to kill Tails and Chris and just standing there like harmless house pets. Meanwhile, Sonic gets impressively punched around by an invisible robot, until he beats it in one hit with a ring, which he should have done in the first place if he could do that. But the rings existing like this just makes it look like the tension is artificial. But it is good that there was tension in action, since it's the only thing making this episode not completely terrible. It was cool that Eggman was a threatening badass by trying to destroy all the metal though. It was interesting that Tails instinctively snapped at and yelled at the animals because they remind him of his bullies, but apparently no. It's just because he thinks they're wimps for not standing up to bullies. And absolutely infuriated me that I was expected to believe Tails was only bullied for being a brilliant engineer, and not for having 2 tails. Are you kidding me? Everyone would admire him for that. Logically, everyone would just be asking him to build stuff for them, and taking advantage of him, thinking he's awesome because of that. And if he said no to making an invention for them, then I could understand them bullying him for that. He'd be like the resident awesome child prodigy if it weren't for his 2 tails. That should be what people would bully him for. That's so stupid. How do you botch writing something like this? Literally any fanfiction about this would write this better. You know how many fanfictions there are of Tails being bullied for his 2 tails? They never mentioned the engineering part. We saw just one scene of Tails being bullied. It could drag out, granted. But still, him living outside in the woods and being bullied is a plot that could be developed on a lot more. How did he survive? Did he steal from people's homes to get the water he'd need to live? Were people cutting down the berry bushes so he'd starve, which would force him to steal food to eat instead? Were people trying to kill him all the time? Were cops constantly after him? It'd be interesting if Tails was established to have a backstory where he was basically a criminal, and it'd make him being a hero now all the more inspiring. And he'd be sympathetic by feeling bad about having to steal and not doing so anymore. But the story didn't bother to go far enough with it and just went the generic route, including ripping off a scene from Sonic Adventure. You'd think if Tails was inventing things even back when he was being bullied, he would have invented something like a paralysis or telekinesis ray to stop anyone from ever bullying him again. I know he'd be too self-righteous to brainwash people, so that wouldn't happen, but he could defend himself better than that. He wouldn't even need to attack them. Just lift them up with a ray. You'd think we would have seen Sonic stand up to his bullies. And that would explain why he's so passionate about standing up to bullies. But I guess not. Screw showing Sonic having an actual friendship moment with him beyond just telling him that they're going to become friends, apparently. That's such great writing. That was the laziest backstory for Tails ever. Well, it's not like this episode was horrible. I loved having more than just Eggman as the villain, and having a side plot with other heroes. This is definitely more enjoyable than the Sonic Boom comic with its obnoxious dialogue and forced comedy. Compared to gutless continuities like that, episodes of this show remind me why I even like this series. But it's still a problem with the show when I have to force myself to watch episodes of it, and I put it off for a long time. With the other Sonic shows before this, I was reviewing them one after the other, to the point where my hands would start to hurt because I was so interested in the show.